Good morning, and welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple's Spring Ohigan service. My name is Miles Yamamoto, and I will be your MC. We begin with the ringing of the temple bell, or Kansho, that signifies the beginning of the temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in ancient tradition. It is the calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma, or teachings. The temple bell represents the gratitude and deep appreciation of the members, friends, and guests of the Windward Buddhist Temple. Please sit quietly in your seats. We will now have the offering of flowers and light by the children. If you are able, please rise for the meditation, followed by the chanting of the Vandana Ti-Sarana by the congregation in Pali and in English. This can be found in the red Jodo Shinshu service book on page 7. Please be seated. Reverend Kalu will now lead us in the Sanbujo, which can be found in page 9 of the Red Jodo Shinshu Service book.
servants of the Spring Ohigan, when day and night achieve a state of equilibrium, is a time of reflection, honoring our ancestors and keeping focused on the attainment of enlightenment through the primal vow of Amida Buddha. Ohigan, meaning the assured enlightenment, reminds all of us of the realm of samsara, delusion and ignorance, to impress ourselves with the Buddha of infinite light and light, boundless wisdom and compassion, to boldly cross over without fears and doubts, and leave the world of suffering to reach the realm of ultimate peace and tranquility, the pure land of Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Today's sutra is 12 Homages, which can be found in the red Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 120.
Gods and men all bow in awe to Amida, the revered in Buddha's wondrous pure land. Bodhisattvas gather round, golden form like the mountain king, steadfast like the elephant's face, Buddha's eyes like the blue lotus. Thus I bow to Amida, Buddha's form brown like the moon, bright like 1,000 suns and moons. Buddha's voice like the nightingale. Thus I bow to Amida, Buddha figure on Kanon's crown, adorned with wondrous features. Buddha subdues evilness. Thus I bow to Amida, beyond compare Amida's pure virtue shining clear like space. All benefit from Buddha. Thus I bow to Amida, Bodhisattvas all renowned, Maras to praise Amida, primal vow made for our sake. Thus I bow to Amida, golden ponds where lotus bloom, ours the throne of goodness. Buddha lives like the mountain king. Thus I bow to Amida, Bodhisattvas come afar, attaining true happiness. They revere the Buddha's face. Thus I bow to Amida. All life changes like the dew. We have no permanent self. Buddha teaches this law to all. Thus I bow to Amida. No evil in the pure land, and no fear of evil paths. Faithful hearts honor Buddha. Thus I bow to Amida, saving us through many ways. No tempters, no evil friends. Birth leads to enlightenment. Thus I bow to Amida. shared with others for birth into the pure land. Amanda. The virtue of Amida's vow is shared equally by all, together attaining awakened mind. We are born in the land of peace. Namanda, 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 namanda.
If you are able, please rise for the recitation, Golden Chain of Love, which can be found in the red Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 126. I am a link in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I do now depends not only on my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace.
Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Please continue to stand for the Gatha, Splendor of an Evening Sky. This can be found in the purple Praises of the Buddha book on page 194. Please be seated. Our speaker for today's Ohigan service is Reverend Dr. Bert Sumikawa.
I'm on dog, I'm on dog, I'm on dog. Good morning, everyone. And thank you very much, Reverend Saul, for asking me to speak today. Usually when I come to the temple, I'm sitting in the back, so I only see the backs of people's heads. But today I can see your actual faces, so that's very pleasant for me. Thank you very much. So it's been a while since I last came up here to it's been a while since I was last invited to speak. So thank you very much. You know, earlier this month, as I did last year, I visited the Lumbini preschool at Jikoin Temple to talk to the children about, of all things, dental health. So I brought a large puppet with me by the name of Dudley the Dragon, sort of like a mascot for children's dentistry. And it was such a pleasure and fun to visit with them and to see how attentive they were. And it reminded me of why I went into dentistry, and particularly pediatric dentistry. But if you ask me, do I want to go back? It's a hard call, I tell you. You know, this morning we are observing Ohigan. As you know, it is one of the few religious holidays that actually did not originate with Shakyamuni Buddha. It actually arose in Japan during the Heian period, around 794 to 1100 or so, presumably from the time of Prince Shotoku in Osaka. So it is a distinctly Japanese observance. It is the vernal equinox, when both day and night are equal in length, and the world is in balance and in comfortable harmony. In astronomy, Ohigan is a day when the sun rises directly in the east and sets directly in the west. And this equinox appears again in the fall. But Buddhists are not the only ones that observe this equinox. It is observed in many cultures. It is observed in the Hawaiian culture, the Native American culture as well. But what does this all mean to us as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists? Well, it means that we should all step back and reflect on our lives and what it means to us to sit back and to get in balance with what it is about us and how so fortunate we are to live this life that is so rare. We sometimes recite the homages found in your red service book that begins with, hard it is to be born into human life, and now we are living it. Difficult it is to hear the teachings of the Blessed One, and now we hear it. If we do not gain emancipation in this present life, we may not be free from ill-faring in the ocean of births and deaths for kalpas. So we should reflect on the 6 paramitas of dana, discipline, patience, effort, meditation, and wisdom, and consider how these 6 perfections, through upaya, or skillful means, Amida Buddha, makes us see how things as they really are, and therefore are able to express and to realize harmony in our lives. It is a special time for us to sit back, to sit in our comfortable chairs and gaze upon the ko'olaus on a clear day, to gaze and to turn around and you can see the beautiful mountain range, and to reflect. In the world today, there is much turmoil. It seems as though we're in a cycle where we see crime proliferating throughout the islands and on the mainland. People causing harm to others in our colleges and high schools, even right here in Hawaii. Man's inhumanity against man is rampant because of the busyness of people here and in the rest of the world. There was actually no time for reflection, is there? So in crossing over this wide sea of illusion and arriving at the other shore of nirvana, the Six Paramitas serves as a bridge spanning this wide sea. In Mahayana Buddhism, the paramitas are important because this is the path of the Bodhisattva, the path to save all sentient beings first, delaying its own nirvana until all beings are delivered. Daily, we offer food, flowers, and incense to the Buddha. In our offerings, we're reminded of the gifts that we have received and are still receiving on a daily basis. These paramitas teaches us the essential Buddhist way of life that we should follow each day. Applying these to our daily lives is the Jodo Shinshu way of expressing gratitude and thanksgiving to Amida Buddha for our unconditional salvation, especially during this time of Ohigan. Ohigan is not just about one shore or the other shore, but it is about two shores bound together by a river of compassion. So at this time of Ohigan, let us all reflect on the marvelously, mysteriously working of the Buddha and what brings us this transformation. By accepting Amida Buddha's primal vow, we recite Namo Amida Butsu in grateful acceptance of this benevolence. So let us put our hands together in reverence as I read these words. The light of the Buddha of unhindered light harbors the lights of purity, joy, and wisdom. Its virtuous working surpasses conceptual understanding as it benefits the beings throughout the 10 quarters. Namo Amida Butsu. At one of the Sunday services at the Butsuing many years ago when I was there, during Reverend Richard Tennis's message, I recall that he talked about how some things seem to be bad and sometimes devastating in our lives that can actually, in retrospect, become something that is, as it turns out, good. For example, have you noticed that we human beings, with all our material comfort, have actually forgotten how to be astonished by the beauty of ordinary things and events? We hear of many stories where an airline passenger misses the plane or a crisis that occurred just before leaving for the terminal, and on TV is the news that a plane had crashed into the mountainside. Even in everyday life, when young and rejected by someone who your heart fell for, only to find out later that you were so lucky to be rejected. By the way, yesterday we had a wonderful session here entitled, Don't Die Yet. After that it read, Do you have your affairs in order? Many of you attended, and I found the title, Do you have your affairs in order, to be quite humorous. How many affairs can you have at one time? It would be exhausting, I would think. That's enough of that, yeah. I'd like to relate this story to you. Over 200 years ago, there was a Buddhist nun called Rengetsu, who was renowned for her beautiful poetry. Rengetsu was a very compassionate person, and although she was very poor, she had lost her husband and children tragically and was all alone. She always gave whatever extra offerings she received for her poems to those who were worse off than she. Once when a thief came to her house at night, she lit a lamp for him so that he could see better, and then served him tea while encouraged him to talk about his difficult life. Rengetsu was a true Buddhist and lived the life of a wandering pilgrim without a permanent home. Once in a faraway place, she walked many miles without finding a village in which to sleep in for the night. Finally, she came to a small town by a river, but no one there would give her any lodging for the night. So as night fell, she retraced her steps back to a nice spot she had seen under a cherry tree. After falling asleep, Rengetsu was awakened in the night by a bright light that she felt shining on her face. She opened her eyes, and there was a misty white moon hovering in the cloudless sky. Above her head, thousands of cherry blossoms had opened while she slept, and now each flower held a golden moonlight in its petals. The exquisite beauty of this sight was such a surprise to Rengetsu that she literally gasped in amazement. Turning toward the village, which had not given her a place to sleep that night, she bowed in gratitude and composed this poem. Through their kindness in refusing me a place to sleep, I found myself beneath beautiful blossoms on the night of the misty moon. The townspeople had refused Rengetsu a place to rest for the night. Perhaps they did this out of selfishness, or perhaps they simply had no resources to share with this stranger. It would have been natural for Rengetsu to resent being turned away. Perhaps she did feel some resentment at first. But as she expressed in her poem, it was only because of being turned away that she found herself in that spot at that right time to witness a sight of astonishing beauty. How often do we carry resentment and regret around with us? Sometimes for years. In doing so, how much beauty are we refusing to see? How much happiness and peace of mind are we rejecting? Perhaps every moment of life is a moment of exquisite beauty. We should all let go of our resentment and demands about how things are supposed to be and awaken in gratitude to the astonishing beauty and loveliness of life. This story reminds me of my own maternal great-grandmother who lived on the island of Kauai and is buried there alongside my grandfather and grandmother. In the 1800s, she grew up in Tokushima, Japan, and went to high school in Kobe, which was rather unusual for that period of time in Japanese history, especially for a woman. She was the second woman to be baptized in Kobe and eventually married my great-grandfather, who was a Christian minister there and who was originally from Saga in Kyushu. After having 2 children, her husband died, leaving her to raise her 2 girls alone. She was extremely devastated, but carried on with her missionary work throughout the inland sea until coming to Hawaii on her own with her 2 girls to do missionary work in Lihue. One of the girls eventually became my grandmother, and the other married a man from Pukolii over in Maui, but died soon after, I think about 2 weeks later, after being afflicted with the Spanish flu. My great-grandmother lived a very lonely but fulfilled life. Through all her heartaches of losing her husband, being alone and coming to a very strange country called Hawaii, she found a beautiful lotus blossom potentially blooming and filled her life in its beauty and lived a life of gratitude until her passing, actually when I was in college. In Hawaii, she found many friends who were more than willing to help her live this life in deep gratitude. Through their nurturing love and care, she was able to live. In her legacy, although her life began with much hope and anticipation, became devastated with the death of my great-grandfather and living a life of poverty, not knowing where her next bowl of miso soup would come from. She now thrives here in Hawaii and on the mainland with 6 great-grandchildren, 9 great-great-grandchildren, and I don't know how many great-great-great-grandchildren there are. I think maybe 7, I'm not sure. And counting, I guess. I shudder to think what might have happened had she given up on life. I'm very grateful to her, and I'm sure that many of you have the same story as well. It is a story that is universal among humans, and because of their perseverance, we here are able to live this life, and we need to express it in deep gratitude, always. Shinran Shonin, through his disciple Yuen, writes, I, Shinran, have never said the Nembutsu even once for the repose of my departed mother and father. For when I remember my parents, it comes home to me that all living beings have, over the course of endless cycles of births and deaths, at some point been father or mother, brother or sister to me. So in the next life, I must become a Buddha and help one and all without discrimination. Shinran's statement that all living beings have been our fathers, mothers, brothers, and sisters suggests that all forms of life are interconnected. It also talks about how long and how deeply we have been lost in the darkness of ignorance and confusion. People migrate always, seeking a better life for their families and other loved ones. Some come here to Hawaii. Others go to the mainland USA. But what we need to realize is that we are all one family, the human family. It is the realization of the Buddhist principle of interconnectedness. We care for each other, we cry for each other, and we rejoice in their happiness as well. We're awakened to this truth and to our true self through Amida's vow, the innermost aspiration or desire to terminate samsara, or the endless cycle of unsatisfactory existence, perpetuated by the so-called 3 poisons of greed, anger, and unawareness. So, by awakening to this truth, we all learn that all of our lives are interconnected. We all depend on each other, and so we're all indebted to each other as well, because none of us could live without the great benevolence of our family, of our friends, or of the many beings that provides us with food, clothing, and shelter. Let us always then reflect upon the infinite and limitless compassion and wisdom of Amida Buddha, which embraces all beings at all times, everywhere. All of us are embraced by the Buddha's compassion, and so all we need to do is to live our lives in gratitude and to express kindness toward others. Amida embraces all of us just as we are. We then repay this by reciting the name in deep gratitude, Namo Amida Butsu. Nagarjuna of India, the first of the Pure Land masters designated by Shinran in his formulation of the Pure Land teachings, wrote, I no longer walk through life not knowing my destination until the very moment of my death. From the moment that I'm able to realize joy in the Nembutsu, I become aware that I am walking step by step on the white path, leading directly to the Pure Land, constantly embraced by the light of great compassion. Thank you all for coming here to listen and to share in the Dharma. Let's all reflect on Ohigan with astonishment in our lives. And please have a nice rest of the day today and the coming week as well. Let's put our hands together once again for closing reflection. Life is too short and fleeting. Today will never come to us again. Life is the most precious gift. Today is the most precious treasure. The Buddha Dharma makes us find the true value of life. Let us make a little more effort for a better and more meaningful life. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Sumikawa, for that message and for that reminder about taking time to reflect on Amida's compassion. If you are able, please rise for the Gatha Namo Amida Butsu, which can be found in the Purple Praises of the Buddha book on page 144, and continue to stand for the Nembutsu, which can be found on page 145.
attained true and real Shinjin immediately joined the truly settled, thus having entered the states of non-retrogression, they necessarily attain nirvana. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Namo.
Please be seated. This concludes our Spring Ohigan service. Thank you very much for attending. And now I will toss the mic over to Dennis Tashiro with announcements.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Reverend Bert. it just reminds us of how you hear a lot of stories about women that are so strong. I admit, Merle's the better half. Yeah, she puts up with a lot. I'm sure most of you women do too. Thank you for your strength. Thank you, Reverend Zal, for leading our service. Special thanks to Miles for to fill in as an MC, and I think he did a very good job for that. David was a greeter, and Lisa, or Joy. Thank you, Joy, for playing the piano. And of course, Ryan is recording the service. We have, special guest, my grandniece, Annette's and Gary's granddaughter, Ariana. You can stand if you want. Good to have you here, Ariana. Next Sunday will be our monthly remembrance service. If you'd like to remember a loved one who passed away in the month of March of any year, you may do so during the remembrance service. When you get here, please add your name of your loved one onto the list at the greeters table. If you have a picture, you're welcome to bring it and can place it up here. Today, after the refreshments, we will be doing cleanup. Your help would be greatly appreciated. Our spring food drive benefiting the Hawaii Food Bank begins today. There are collection boxes outside of the office. Your donation of non-perishable food will be greatly appreciated. On Sunday, March 30, the Hongwanji Bazaar will happen at the Hawaii Butsu. There will be no service here. Please do attend. As you heard from Cynthia last Sunday, there'll be a lot of food that we will prepare and sell as money making for our temple, including takuang, bitter melon namasu, a whole bunch of a variety of manju, and a few other things. So we'll see you there. I mentioned, I think in December, when it was first announced, the Call Fest 2025 will happen this year. The last time it was held was in 2018. It'll be on September 20 and 21 at the Hawaii Butsu. Members are encouraged to participate. On the 20th, Saturday, it's from noon to 6:30, and on the Sunday, the 21st, 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. On the back table, I have more information, including a little more detail of the scheduling for Saturday and Sunday. There is a registration fee of $35. But the temple has agreed to pay for the members signing up. So don't worry about the money. Just make sure your voice is good and sign up. Prudence would like to share information that for our Hanamatsuri that's coming up.
Good morning. You know, we have the first Sunday in April, we have the joint Buddhist Buddha Day service in town. I don't know what temple. I don't know which temple yet, but anyway, so we don't have service. And our Buddha Day service is going to be on the second Sunday. And of course, we don't have service the last Sunday. So I wanted to tell you what we'd like to do this Buddha Day. Something different, and I'm wearing partly my social concerns committee hat and always trying to figure out what we can do for the community. And so this year, since it's Baby Buddha's birthday, we are asking you to donate a new or gently used children's book for the baby. We will have a box here, and we will then donate well, the baby would then donate all the books he received to one of the agencies that serve homeless families with children. And I'm going to look for an agency that operates somewhere in the Windward side, since this is our community. And I think there is a Weinberg shelter somewhere in Waimanalo. And they take in families with children. So most likely we would then donate it to that group. As you know, we call ourselves Windward Buddhist Temple, and yet our reach into the Waimanalo area is very limited as our members are getting elderly and we don't have other people coming. So I thought that would be a good way for us to announce our presence here and maybe share the Dharma with them. So on the second Sunday, it's the 13th, when you come to celebrate Buddha Day here, I'd appreciate it if you can bring a gently used book or a new children's book, and we'll donate it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Prudence. Kuki has been busy, and he made more bitter melon namasu. And we also have some chayote namasu also available. The bitter melon is $6, and the chayote was it $3? Ah, right there. You got to try it. It's really good. But please, we'd like to sell these products. Okay, any other announcements? Well, it's time for refreshments then. Oh, well, yeah. The week leading up to the bazaar on the Tuesday, the 25th of March, here at 8 o'clock, we'll be preparing and making the takuang and the bitter melon, some more bitter melon namasu. So if you can help, we'd greatly appreciate if you could come that Tuesday. All right, let's do words of thanksgiving. For this food, we are truly grateful for this wonderful food, a gift of life. May we share its benefits with all beings. As we partake of this food, let us remember Amida Buddha's compassion, which surrounds all people and all forms of life. Namo Amida Butsu. Itadakimasu. Thank you.